Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Hyrule Chronicles, Legend of Zelda 5e D&D, episode 16. I am your dungeon master, ArticulateT, and with me today I have playing Hikan CO, I have Alvarance.
You are starting to ping a bit there, sir.
Am I?
Yeah.
Oh
I
my.
think it's
Yes.
your podcast recording thing.
No, the
I
podcast
think
recording.
it's all of them at once.
The podcast recording thing's been going. Was started up first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It heard that you were starting and knew.
Yeah, my thing's being weird. But anyway, join me today. I have Alvarance playing Hikancio.
Hello.
I have TheNetherlad playing Renji Vox.
Hello.
I have Rubber Pirate playing Ziden Shari.
Hello.
And I have Keastreth playing Max.
Hi.
And hopefully, at some point today, we will have a SteveTheSeregios playing Sho Daius, but I have no idea where he is right now. He should be fine. He, like as said, he came back from Canadior recently, so he might have some things that he needs to take care of. Might be a bit busy. But in the meantime, we'll continue onwards, and we will recap him briefly when he gets back. So in the meantime, whoever's taking care of the recap, what happened last time?
So we sat there and then we walked, and then Renji and Ziden shared a watch, and then Renji was asking him questions that were similar to the questions that I asked the previous night, and then Max and I shared a watch, and then we finally made it to Flamgo's, and he was a weird bird dude that floated and teleported, and so we sat there and we're looking for a pet for Lord Asshole, and then we were and then Mr. Larson Graves came in, that's right, and he was like, whisper, whisper, I need to do an investigation. So we distracted Mr. Flamgo, and he snuck into the back, and then there was a big, large crash, so Mr. Flamgo teleported away because he's creepy like that, and then we were like, oh no, we have to investigate, and then we ended up having to fight his puppet armor statues, and then we found out that he was doing some weird shady stuff, and I got my book, and no one else knows that I have it. Shifty eyes.
Except for me. Well,
What?
except for Renji specifically.
Yeah.
What book? I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty much it on the nose. Well done. So we find ourselves back in we find ourselves back into the I say ruins of Flamgo's shop. You all
Damn Lionels.
damn Lionels indeed.
Speaking of, isn't this like an extra dimensional space? Shouldn't we be getting the hell out of here before him walking through the wall causes problems?
Good idea.
So you all kind of pile out rather quickly. Good thing too, because as the last of you comes out with everything you need, you turn around and see that the shack just kind of collapses in on itself. Not in a mystical implosion sort of way, but sort of just pathetically falls over. And no trace of what was once inside seems to remain. But you find yourselves back outside in the rather pleasant late morning sun. You see the road stretching in both north and south before you, and looking around, or at least giving a cursive glance, you see no sign of the pink feathery bastard that had been running this clearly illegal / nefarious / bizarre pet shop outside of Hyrule Castle Town.
Is my Hexblade's curse still up? Wait, no, it's been more than a minute. Never mind.
Yeah, it would have dissipated by now.
Yeah.
There also was the thing where he opened his extra dimensional door, and then you were like, you feel your Hexblade's curse slip or something like that. I remember that.
I I read it or interpreted that as like concentrating on it. I knew that he was in the room, but then I felt that knowing that he was in the room go away. But I didn't feel the Hexblade's curse disappear, did I?
It would have. I think it would have gotten to the point where, considering the amount of sensing that you were doing, you kind of only knew where he was in a vague cardinal direction.
Yes, true, because I don't actually have the actual ability. You gave that to me.
Yeah.
But like the curse ends early if the target dies, you die, or you are incapacitated.
Yeah.
None of the three things happened.
So it's kind of even if it was sticking around, now that you're faced with the immensity of Hyrule Field, you're kind of just like he could literally be anywhere at this point in time.
Fair enough.
Well, we didn't get a pet.
Yeah, that reminds me. Larson.
Yep.
Do you have any other pressing matters in Hyrule Field?
Well,
because we were planning on going back to Castle Town.
Well, this was the only pressing matter that I had to take care of, and it looks like, well, my suspicions were kind of confirmed, he says. He looks at the documents, then the rubble of the shack, and it's just, yeah, I think this confirms a bunch of stuff. So I guess I have nothing else to do than go back and report in.
Right. Would you do us a favor? Yes, Hikan?
I think you're gonna ask what I'm gonna ask.
Oh. Well, we were sent here to get a pet for Lord Rickshaw. Given that he doesn't particularly seem to like us Sheikah, I was hoping you would come along and give him a reason other than us. Yeah, we tried to get a pet, but he turns out the person selling them was nefarious. I think he'll trust your word more than he'd trust ours.
Oh, so Rickshaw wanted a pet from this place. Okay.
Yes.
Well, it's only fair to come along and inform him that he's not going to be able to get what he wants. Sure, I can stop by. I need to pass that way anyway in order to stop by the religious district and speak to the priests at the temple. So, sure.
Much appreciated.
And as you guys get yourselves ready to go and turn to face the road, you hear planks move, and as you turn and look, you see one cuckoo just poke its head out.
I grab the cuckoo and like put him under my arm and just walk with him.
Roll roll animal handling. I want to see how this goes.
I was gonna say yes.
An 11.
An 11. Okay, so he does seem to struggle, and he pecks at your hand a couple of times, but it's not like it has really much else to do. So it's just kind of like after about 5 minutes, just kind of resigns itself to its fate and just like looks around rather disinterestedly.
We have a pet.
Are we giving that to him?
I don't think it'll...
I hand the crumpled scroll of Lord Rickshaw's request from my pocket to Larson and ask, does this count as a pet?
He looks at the request and says, well, it was an animal that was on sale at this store. So it would count as a pet, but I might need to keep it as evidence, I guess. Maybe.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll carry it with us then.
Okay. He just gives you back the scroll. You begin to march back to Hyrule Castle Town, which, considering the distance that you are away from it, it's not too much of a walk back. By the time you get there, typically you find yourself more or less just back there by about mid-afternoon. You pass through the busy areas of the farming steads and other settlements that kind of sit around outside the castle walls. Everyone roll perception for me as this happens. I'll change
Hey, 17.
Change something a
18.
touch.
It's a 12 for me.
Okay,
15.
there we go. Use this for a bit. So as you're walking around, you see that a lot of people are you see a lot of people are very much carrying like big boxes, and some of them are carrying these like long streamers and banners and stuff as they go through. Like it's busier, and you believe that whatever they're carrying, whatever they're transporting, this is the reason for their busyness. I allow a history for everybody except Renji, because I feel like Renji would probably be aware of what this is.
I probably wouldn't.
A whole 6.
An 11.
I'll just roll. I got a 23.
Yeah.
You definitely know.
It wasn't in the book I've been reading with that 9.
Yeah. Renji, you know that this is they're probably setting up for a small festival called the Founding Festival. It's basically like, it's not so much a case of July 4th levels of patriotism. It's basically, this is Hyrule's birthday as far as the people are concerned. So they throw like a single day celebration. There's games, there's food, there's just general good times, but it's not as big as, say, the Harvest Festival, which is coming up in like a couple months or so, or the Winter Solstice, or any other kind of stuff like that.
So seeing this all happen, it's like, oh, it's the Founding Festival. Oh, I loved going here when I was younger.
What's a festival?
It's, well, a gathering of people that celebrate something. In this case, the founding of the city.
You know,
There's lots of good food and drinks. I mean, I haven't been to many, but I think I probably know a couple are.
Max just looks confused.
Renji, you know that it will be occurring in a couple of days. As you see this, you're reminded of the date, and you know that it'll be properly happening in a couple of days, but you think people are getting ahead of themselves to make sure everything's properly prepared.
I tell the rest, and I say, it'll probably be fun to, hang out, see the performers. They generally have a lot of, there's some good bards or troubadours around.
It's a troubadour.
Someone who plays music or tells stories, or an entertainer, basically.
Right.
You haven't really gone out much, have you? Well, no matter. The festival is...
Yeah, but just blank stare.
Fair enough. Renji does look like a bit awkward at that, as like, well, there's plenty of time to enjoy the festival, and I think it'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
And
Also, I want to point something out. Back with the big thing with, the Hinox, was it?
With the thing that had this, I pull out the Hinox snout.
You'd better keep that away from, the public seeing.
I wasn't mad at you because you shot it. I was mad at you for shooting it without warning us.
Right, yeah.
Just next time, give us a bit of notice before you start a fight, okay?
Right. Yes, I do apologize for that.
Okay.
Okay. So as you make your way in, and hopefully it hasn't duplicated the stars again this time. I double checked earlier as well.
It doesn't seem that to be the case, so that's good.
Yeah, it's
All
just
looks good.
waiting on the stream's end for the actual for the city map to load.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a delay. It happens.
Yeah.
You get a
it's
few
fine.
lovely seconds of blur.
A blur. Oh, on the stream it was like pure white. The image doesn't come up, but now
Oh,
it's
okay.
there. It's all good. Okay. So as you make your way up the commercial district, you see even more of these people busying themselves, preparing decorations. Some of them have even, when you get to the main courtyard area, you can see new stalls that you haven't seen before, but they're not selling anything yet. It's possible that some people have set up shop there to claim a bit of real estate. Yeah.
This is the best spot. It will be mine.
Yeah. I don't mind camping here and not making a profit for 3 days. I will be here.
This is my spot, and I will fight you for it.
Yeah.
I gotta have the latest model scrying orb now.
Yeah. As you continue onwards, I'd like you guys to make another perception check for me, please.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Perceptions all around.
A 23.
Ziden
A
is so
25
Yeah,
for me.
Yeah.
18.
18. Okay.
Clearly Ziden's like, but what happened to the animals inside that building?
Wait a minute.
Conundrum. So as you're going along, and Larson goes to turn a corner to make his way further north towards the Noble District, you see a group of individuals sitting by the end of the road, and you can hear like the starting or the preparation of music, like the tuning of instruments, from this trio of people. One of them appears to be a Goron, and he's quite diminutive for a typical Goron, but he sits cross-legged in front of a set of different sized drums and bongos, and next to him is a Hylian lad with this kind of greyish hair, and he holds in one hand a violin, and next to them appears to be a sea Zora, specifically with the kind of coloration and facial features of an orca. So he's kind of got this predominantly black skin with white spots and a rather large tail fin on the back of his head. And he doesn't have an instrument. He's pretty much standing there, kind of just clearing his voice. And as you walk past, there's a beginning of the Hylian lad goes 1, 2, 3, and then begins to play, and then the Goron begins to play, and then there's a bit of time, like a few seconds before they both stop, and the Hylian goes no, Tide, where's your, come in, sing. And Tide's like, I am not feeling it today. And he seems rather frustrated with this. The Hylian seems rather frustrated with the Zora.
Max leans over to Renji, says, "Are those troubadours?"
They do seem to be musicians.
Right.
I'm not sure if they are actual troubadours. Those tend to have more than one skill, but we could ask.
I hand Renji the cuckoo and walk over to the orca Zora.
Renji, make an animal handling check.
Yeah, no, don't hand it to the druid. Hand it to the...
11.
11. Okay, so it's much like Hikan's, where you kind of you pass it over to you, and there's a bit of time where it's flapping its wings like, and then after a while it calms itself down.
I must look so silly.
You do kind of stand out, this very finely dressed Sheikah man in the middle of a busy street holding this chicken.
Resplendent breastplates, holding a cuckoo.
I refuse to make any effort to take it from you.
Max, Please, you must know better.
I'm bad at animals.
Ziden's just going to watch this with amusement.
Okay.
Ziden, what about you? I'm not good with.
No,
Cougars,
you seem
whatever.
fine.
Oh, come on.
Tyrion is giggling. And Lawson's like, I've got work to do, so I'm gonna carry on. Let's see. I'll meet you. Is it Simeon's place you work?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll meet you there then. Later in the evening.
Okay.
And he walks on. Tarina kind of giggles to herself. She watches the display, then goes over to join Hikan.
I heard you're not feeling like singing today. Is everything okay, Mr. Sir? It is Sir, right?
Yes, it is, sir. And the Hylian just kind of rolls his eyes, says, "I'm sorry, sir. We're trying to get into the spirit of things for the festival, but sadly our quartet has fallen on hard times. Now we must make do as a trio. I do get frustrated at our friend here, but he has gone through the rough patch, haven't you, Tide?" And Tide says, Yes, I have.
What's wrong?
Well, we were on our way down from Sarkoza. The place, we played there briefly. It's where we got our start. And the Goron, who says nothing, just nods. And Tide just kind of briefly tries to say something, but then just kind of shakes his head. And the Hylian next to him says, "Well, shortly before we left, we made camp on the road. And when we woke up, Tide's sister, Merlina, she was gone. We tried going back to the town to see if they had any trace of her, but sadly we couldn't seem to find her anywhere. That was 5 weeks ago, and we've only stopped looking and came down here. We tried to hope that maybe she was down here in this metropolis, but sadly, no luck. And hopeful performances during the festival, so we're kind of trying to make do."
Hikan sits and thinks a bit as he's trying to figure out how to solve this problem. Totally his strong suit.
You guys didn't hear anything, or?
Tide shakes his head. And the Hylian says, "No, it was rather peculiar. I was on watch for the whole night. We had a cart. I could rest in the cart on the rest of the road, and I didn't hear a single thing." If you do see a Zora who has the same complexion as Tide here, they're twins, you see. If you do see a female Zora with Tide's complexion, please do let her know that we are still looking for her, and that we will be staying in Hyrule Castle Town for a few months before we have to move on.
Ziden will go to Tide to ask him, do you know if she would have any particular object that you would be able to accurately describe to me?
He thinks about it, and he grabs at a necklace that he's got around his neck, and he brings up what looks like one half of a key. He says, "She has the other half."
Ziden will nod and examine it for later using locate object.
Okay.
Renji,
Yes.
I have.
do a lot of people come to the founding festival here in Castletown?
It's pretty. It's
From like out of town.
Could you just take the chicken back, please?
Do you still have a good berry, Ziden?
Ziden will hand him a good berry, and then I'll cast Locate Object now for the other key.
Okay. You cast Locate Object. You
Anywhere within 1,000 feet around me.
You do not sense the object within 1,000 feet around you.
Oh. How big is the town?
It's a very big town. It's at very least a mile in circumference, or in diameter rather. Wrong mathematical term.
It happens.
Well, she's not in this section of town.
I go over with the good berry and offer it to the cuckoo as I take the cuckoo back.
Thank you. But to answer your question, there do seem to be like more people of the surrounding area joining this festival, but I wouldn't say there's a big rush.
I mean, if there's people coming from out of town because it's a festival and she knows that they're heading this way, I think that it'd be a good idea for you to sing some more, Mr. Tide, so then she can hear you in case she did get lost.
Yeah. Make a persuasion roll with advantage.
A 14?
Okay. Okay. He kind of nods a little bit and smiles, rather meekly, and says, "Perhaps that would be a good idea. Yes. Thank you."
Hikan just smiles and like full closed eye smile, and then nods to the rest of the party.
Before we head off, Matt's gonna look at the Goron and say, "In fluent Goron. Good luck with your music, big guy." Then head off.
He offers a thumbs up.
To Simeon's then?
Yeah.
To Simeon's then.
With our brand new pet.
Because Larson didn't get it.
Are we gonna call it evidence?
His name is Evie.
Heavy.
Is Evie dense?
It looks up at you, eyes going in two different directions.
Pretty dense.
It's okay. I'm told I'm dense too. I pet Evie's head and just walk away.
Aww.
I didn't mean it. That wasn't. I didn't mean it towards you. You know.
I don't take offense to it. I know thinking's not my strong suit, at least education-ish thinking. That's what show's for.
Right.
Sho just gives a bit of a nod. But yeah. So as you make your way back through the city streets, you go through the residential district. It's the same story everywhere. More preparations, more excitement and busyness as you go through the streets, and eventually you find yourself back at Lord Simeon's estate. The two erstwhile guards who stand before the front door still remaining there, vigilant as ever. Though there is a third person there at the moment. They appear to be a very well dressed individual in a black suit with like with red accents, and they appear to be standing by the door and pacing ever so slowly.
Just taking one look at him, then video thinking villain.
What race do
I
they look like?
recognize the person?
everybody does. Everybody notices the. Oh, you don't recognize the person. Sorry. But he's a Hylian, and a fairly elderly one. Appears to be rounded Hylian as he kind of wanders back and forth in front of the door.
Ziden will go to say hello.
Hello. How might I be of assistance to you today?
We were planning on going inside.
Oh, right. Do you have a meeting with Lord Simeon at all?
I live here.
Oh, forgive me. I am simply waiting on my Lady Risha. She's having a meeting with him again.
Lady Risha was the person that had the storming out episode last time that we ran into her, right?
Yes, she did.
As soon as Lady Risha said he squeezes the staff on there. Yeah, she stormed out when we got to Lord Simeon's the first time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. In fact, now that he mentions it, you do recognize him as the suited individual who was following her rather hastily when she stormed out the first time. So you can assume possibly that this might be her steward.
Is everything all right? You do seem somewhat tense.
Oh, I just like to have a bit of fresh air when Lady Risha is having an energetic debate, as it were.
And pacing?
It's been about half an hour.
Right. I see.
Hikan steers clear of the door and just waits.
Like it's odd that he's outside the front door of the building and not inside comfortably, considering that it's possible that the meeting between the two nobles is probably in his office or his drawing room or something.
Yeah, Max is gonna wait for a couple of seconds, see if no one else is moving, then just shrug and go inside.
Ziden will go inside as well.
Renji will stay for a moment at the guards to ask one or both of them if anything particular has happened lately.
No, I don't think so, sir. Has anything happened, sir? Has anything happened? And the other one goes around and says, no, I don't think anything has happened at the moment, sir. I believe that everything is all right, sir.
Right then. Thank you very much. Resume your duties, and Renji will also enter the estate.
Okay. So as you head inside, you can hear probably from Simeon's office the very muffled yelling from one person and a very calm response on the behalf of another. You can see Smith, Simeon's butler, just kind of through an open door into the dining room. He's busying himself cleaning glasses and ornaments and stuff.
Hello, Mr. Smith. This is Evie. Its last name is Dents, and Mr. Larson's coming by later. That's what he called her.
Yes, he's going to collect evidence.
Well, I get it. Yes.
Yes, it is a pun.
Very well. I shall, by all means, Lord Simeon is currently meeting with Lady Risha right now.
We've heard.
Yes, it's quite difficult not to. But you're free to make yourselves comfortable in the other areas of the estate, and if Chaplain Graves does come, I will inform him as to where you are, and he shall be able to speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Much.
And he takes one last glance at the cuckoo, who tilts its head rather quickly to one side, and as a kind of a look back at him, and then just there's the subtlest shaking of the head from Smith as he goes back to cleaning things.
Max is just gonna immediately head back to the library.
Okay.
Get a different big history book.
Is there a railing outside Simeon's office?
There isn't a railing, but there is. It's kind of like going off from the main lobby. You have like a room to your left, a room to your right, stairs upstairs, and a room straight forward into, I think, the kitchen. And then the room to the left goes into like a kind of a drawing room study, and then there are two rooms there. Two exits from that room, other than the one you just came in. One of them goes into a library, which is probably where Max is headed off to, and the other one goes into Simeon's office. The only other ways to look into this, or only other wall besides the one in that area and the ones in the library, would be the one outside the building next to a window.
Is there anywhere to perch in the hallway like Batman or Spider-Man outside Simeon's office?
Not especially, but you can try. There are bookshelves in the study and stuff, so you can perch on top of there if you want to. But you won't have like a view into the office unless you were to look into the window outside.
Oh no, it's not looking for a view into it. It's a study. There's a chair. I'll just like perch in the chair after I take my shoes off, since I know that Smith is cleaning.
Okay. Okay. Tyrina heads up to her room briefly, so she leaves you guys to it. If you're intending on eavesdropping on the conversation, I'll need you to make a perception check.
I mean, I'm not intending, but we'll see.
Ziden's interested in eavesdropping.
Nope.
Wow, I'm so sorry, Ziden. You've just been rolling nines all day.
Can I have a guidance?
You can have a guidance. I will be charitable.
Ziden's
and let you have a
guidance.
11.
In that case, Renji will also just lean against the wall next to the door.
Okay.
And also percept the hell out of this. It's a 9.
That's
only 9.
That's 9 plus 2 and 9.
I'm gonna see if I accidentally overhear anything. 18.
There we go.
There we go.
Which is a unit of 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Roll20 is just going to have one of those days today, it seems. So as you so the three of you who kind of purposefully go into the purposely go into the room to just eavesdrop on the conversation, all you hear is and not much else that you can clearly hear. Max, however, as you're situating yourself in the library, you kind of luckily put yourself in a place where there is a thin wall. A thin wall.
To pick just the right spot in the library.
Yeah. And there is one and as you sit down and listen, you hear from the tail end of the conversation, you hear, "Well, I don't understand why this cannot be done. I mean, it makes so much sense that we could use more of these academies in order to train more soldiers." And the response comes on, "Yes, well, I can understand where you're coming from, but if you have been paying attention, the Civil War is steadily dying off. Most of the conflict is to the west, and they seem to be handling it perfectly fine. And lest you forget, 20 guards have recently been laid off, and most of the bandits outside of Hyrule Castle have been proven to be soldiers who are disenfranchised with the fact that they don't have any work anymore. What's the point in training more soldiers if they're just going to be fired in the end? It's just a waste of time and money and people's lives." And there's an exasperated sigh. But what if the Vulcan Republic were to attack? And it's like, we haven't heard of from the Vulcan Republic in 50 years. There is no reason for this. And she goes, "Well, there has to be some form of training. There has to be some kind of education system for new soldiers to be ready with new tactics in case a new threat occurs. Do you not remember the stories about Vati?" And Simi goes, "I am fully aware of the stories of Vati. I am fully aware of other threats that have come in the past. My concern is what's happening during the early stages of the Civil War, which seem to have vanished from history. But, if you somehow get the consent of Lord Fonsworth, Lady Milrose, and Lord Rickshaw, if they all agree that another military academy would be a wise idea for this city to have, then I shall consent. But for now, you know my response. And there's another quiet pause. And the female voice says, Fine. I'll go and speak to Lady Milrose then. We'll see how she fares. I know of Lord Farnsworth just flip-flops every now and again. The man's ego is terrible. And Simeon responds with, well, yes, but that is my terms. Good day, Lady Risha. She says, good day. And the three of you out in the drawing room just hear. How close to the door are you, Renji?
I am on the side of the door that door doesn't swing out to.
Okay, Ziden, where are you seated?
Probably just leant against the wall opposite the door. We need to meet with him. At some point.
Okay, so no one needs to make a dexterity save as a boom. Just the door opens, boom, boom, it just slams against an opposite wall. I'm
gonna make one anyway for to see if Evie leaves my arms.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, you managed to keep hold of your cuckoo, and at that noise, Lady Risha, storming out, just stops, looks to the three of you.
Yes. Lady Risha, an honor.
Good day, and just...
I hold out Evie, and it's like, would you like to pet Evie?
No, I don't think I will, but thank you for the offer. Yes, good day, and she storms out. Lady Risha...
While they're having that discussion, Max is gonna put down whatever book he picked up and look for books on that Vulcan Republic that was mentioned.
Okay. Roll an investigation.
No, I don't find anything. Not with a 4.
You don't get very far.
No. Just go back to whatever book I had and meet up with the others.
Yeah. So as you, Lady Risha storms out, she is, like, considering her station, she's actually fairly young. She looks like she's in her mid-20s. And much like before, she wears kind of a black and purple dress, which has been cut and tailored for practical reasons, so that she can run and do all sorts of things without having to trip over her own petticoats and whatnot. But she always has this kind of perpetual scowl on her face. At least whenever anybody in the city, Renji, you'd know this. Whenever anybody in the city has seen Lady Risha, she has been displeased.
May I ask her facial expression when asked to pet Evie?
A mixture of surprise and residual anger from the conversation before. Not necessarily disgust, but it's just like, I've just had a very unpleasant conversation with this person, and the first thing I get greeted with is a fucking cuckoo.
Yes.
I see that she, like Max, has a case of resting bitch face.
Yes.
I look over at Hikan, and I say, honestly, I think that's the most happy I've ever seen her. Looking at that cuckoo.
So does that mean I'm winning?
Yes.
In this regard, yes, you are winning very hard.
Alright. I gotta one-up this somehow.
At this point, it's probably when Max comes out. It's like, what's a Vulcan Republic, guys?
Make history
Do I know
checks,
about
folks.
this? History checks.
History checks.
No.
That's
Oh my God,
that's in
Simon's
that
paying
one.
attention.
I have slept through this history class.
Was this recent enough for Ziden to have actually been there?
You probably. How old is Ziden?
Very old.
Like, I need a number, though.
How old can elves be? Let's say 200.
Wow. So yeah, you would have been alive when it happened, but I don't think you would have necessarily gone there. Essentially, with your 18, you would know that the Volgan Republic is essentially a group of nobles at some point during the Civil War, about 150 years ago, decided pretty much that they were fed up with how Hyrule was being run, and they picked up sticks and went north. And there were occasional missives when they apparently settled and decided on the name of the Volgan Republic, which would be a democratic sort of almost like a Roman state. And then 50 years ago, nothing. Every form of communication came back a failure. Every note came back, or every attempt to send letters came back with no response. There was just nothing, utter silence. There were occasional whisperings that something dangerous might lie in the north, but otherwise, these 100-odd people who decided to go somewhere unsettled and settle it had just vanished.
Okay. Ziden will let the others know of his knowledge of it. Telling them about it. He's like, oh, I remember back then. It was quite a horrible affair. It was distracting. Great big fuss.
Well, she's apparently worried about war with them.
That seems odd given it's only, 100 people? I suppose they could have had more eventually.
I suppose Lady Risha has to be vigilant of any threat, perceived or otherwise.
Max just says, not my words. I assume the door is still open.
Yeah.
Just gonna poke my
I
head.
walk into Simeon's office.
Gonna poke my head in Simeon's office like, you okay?
Yes, I will be fine. Just
Would you like to pet Evie? And I hold out the cuckoo.
He looks at it. There's a pause, and he very tentatively just pats it slightly on the head, and then just pulls his hand back. Like, you have a cuckoo.
Yes.
Your powers of observation continue to amaze us.
Larson Graves called her Evie Dance, so her name is Evie, and we're waiting for him to come by and take us to Lord Rickshaw's, because, yeah, that was... Oh boy!
Oh, I see. Evident. Interesting. I will have to hear about this story.
We also still have to deliver the apples.
Oh yes, so you do. Well, I can send a missive to Mara. She can come down and pick them up if you would like me to. A runner shouldn't take very long. As for...
That will work.
Okay. Well, I will also, I suppose I can't stand in the way of you needing to speak to Lord Rickshaw, though why is anyone's guess.
Honestly, we do not wish to talk to him, but there is a job to do.
Turns out the pet store person he sent us to was a fucking wizrobe.
A wizrobe? Now that
Yes.
is remarkable. Okay.
He had a big lion thing with, like, 4 legs, and it could talk, and it had horns. Oh, yeah, that.
You could see the colour drain from Simeon's face, like, a Lionel. He had
Yes,
a
and
Lionel?
after releasing it, it at least didn't attack us, which I am very glad for.
As am I. A lion. That is a remarkable feat of brilliance and trickery or magical prowess for someone to have captured a Lionel. Though why one would want to is anybody's guess. Well, if Larson was there, I assume that he would probably be more than willing to inform the guards of the presence of a Lionel in the nearby vicinity. As for the Wizrobe, same story. Though Wizrobes are somewhat enigmatic from what I understand. Some of them are genuinely helpful, but most are tricksy and bizarre in their own ways.
He was like an evil Sebastian, but a bird.
Who's
Max
Sebastian?
Is just quiet. Max is just quietly seething in the background.
He runs the general goods store. He's a lovely Hylian man.
Very well.
Who looks remarkably like Alizorphos.
It's a peculiar feature. But very well. I will, I suppose if I have some free time, I'll have to go and take a look myself.
Yes!
But in the meantime, I suppose when you are ready, and he digs into a drawer and pulls out what appears to be a sealed envelope with a wax seal with his signet ring impression in it. He says, when you are ready, tomorrow, you will probably wish to depart for the Artemark dungeon. The papers that you are required to enter are here. And he places the envelope on the table.
Oh. That is good to know.
It is quite a distance away. Without any proper roads, it will be at the very least 2 days worth of walking. But if you make good time and deal with whatever it is within a single day, you should be able to make it back in time for at least the latter half of the founding festival, if you're eager to take part in that one. Or you could hire a horse or two. Maybe they'll be able to make things go faster as well. And I will be able to pay for the horses if you need to purchase those. But in the meantime, dinner will be in about 2 hours if you would like to join me, but otherwise you are free to spend the day doing your things. I believe the responsibility for rewarding you for your tasks that have been handed to you is the job of the task givers. So you will need to speak to them in that regard, but I'm sure it shall be fine.
Also, considering our other request from Mara from the library, we are in possession of the apples that she requested. Do we need to take them to the library ourselves?
Well, you don't have... If you'd rather stay here, or if you'd rather not have to do that, as said before, I can send a runner, and they'll be able to go to the castle and tell her to come and pick them up.
Right. You know, I don't mind going over there myself. I do have other business to attend to in the castle itself, so...
Well, if you are willing, then by all means.
I look over at anyone else. Does anyone else wish to join?
I'll come see the castle.
Are we even allowed to go with you?
Yes. I live there. Like, it's not mine, per se. But I do have some status there. So does Sho.
Alright.
Let's go look at our castle.
Right.
If you guys give me a few minutes to take care of some stuff here, I can join you. But if you guys want to go right away, that's okay. I'll just wait here.
We can wait.
That's all right. I mean, like, if you really want to, I can try and see if you can stay the night at the castle if you would like that.
Nah,
I love how this is both a mixture of political status negotiations, but also kind of with the same kind of grandeur as I'll ask my parents if my friends can come sleep over.
Yeah. Also, I haven't DM. I have an ulterior motive. Can I try and persuade my fellow players?
If they, you can try, but they'll have to. If they can
I'll
make.
pay it.
I would prefer RP'd as opposed to opposed rolled.
Right. I just don't know if I am as charismatic as Renji is.
That's fair.
RP it out and see if you get advantage if need be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So RP it out and see if you need the roll, and if you do need the roll, see if it gives advantage.
Like, I mean, you've never seen the castle, and it is beautiful. It's a marvel of architecture, and even if that's not really your thing, we have a very large library. Even like, well, Simeon, how much bigger is the castle library compared to your own personal collection? Would you say?
At least 3 times as large.
See, 3 times as large. Imagine the books that there are. We've tried to look at some information on your pendant, actually. Was that section 23? I forgot.
That was in the censuses. That was at the back of the library.
That was the census. Right.
I think Ziden was already looking at trying to get fossil records from the castle as well.
Yeah, and there's also this beautiful castle garden that I think you would like that. Like to see that, Ziden.
I shall speak to everything in it.
Right. You should definitely tell me what they think. There's bound to be some.
Like to hear what they think.
There's probably some juicy rumors.
They're animals. They don't care about your rumors.
Oh, but still, imagine.
I don't care about your rumors.
As you discuss this, there's a knock on the doorframe, and you see Smith standing in the doorway. He says, "Larson Graves has arrived and is looking to speak to you all, if you would be willing to entertain him."
Yes, that's.
Could you give him this? I still need a minute, and I pass him Evie. I pass Smith Evie.
Oh no.
Very well. He kind of begrudgingly holds out his hands, and I'm going to make him roll an animal handling check.
Oh no, we're going to lose Evie.
So you hand him the chicken or the cuckoo, and he gently takes it, and there is no objection. It just
Oh.
and it just pats it on the backside and says, "I shall pass him Evie, and I shall be back soon. He will wish to talk to you if you wish to have him accompany you to Lord Rickshaw's, of course. But he takes out the bird, and
Max is gonna go fetch Tyrina
okay,
because she went to her room.
So you go up to Tyrina's room, you knock on the door. She says, "Okay, give me a sec." And there's a brief clatter, and she opens the door, looks out, looks down, and says, "Oh, hey."
Rickshaw, Larson's here, doing the rickshaw thing.
Oh, sure. Give me 2 seconds.
Okay.
And she closes the door, more clattering, comes back out, dressed again, and says, "Okay, let's go."
Alright. Just falls in line beside her.
She joins you, and you see Larson, who is having a hard time with the cuckoo, just kind of still flapping around. He's like, shh, quiet.
Ziden will help Larson.
Okay.
Is Renji down there?
Yes, Renji is.
As soon as Simeon's office is empty, Hikan closes the door behind them, and he is in Simeon's office with Simeon.
Oh shit.
Oh. Hello, Hikan. How might I help you?
Hikan seems kind of hesitant and nervous, but he goes, I know that we talked about a lot of history stuff, and you've been really helpful, but this is really important to me, so I will need it back. And knowing what I know about it, I don't want too many people to know about this. I tried my best to hide it from everyone else, but I really think you could glean a lot from it at the moment. And I pull out the Book of Mudora.
Ah, he looks at the book, looks over it. And there's like usually Simeon is kind of like sees a historical artifact of mild value and is like, oh, but with this one he kind of looks at it and he seems to look at it in a very clinical fashion. Seems to examine it and scrutinize over it, and his eyes narrow, and then he looks back up to you and says, "And this is important to you?"
Hikan just vehemently nods.
He very gently places a hand on the cover and pushes it slowly back to you. Says, "I appreciate the offer, and I know that this is an artifact of great and terrible value. But if it is incredibly important to you, then I would rather you decide where it is kept for its safety." I cannot take this away from you. As much as I would so desperately want to, if it is truly important to you, after all you've done for me, it would be cruel of me to take it from you, even for a brief period of time.
Hikan pauses a little bit, looks kind of confused, and is puzzling things through his head as there's a bit of a drawn-out silence, and goes, I don't want to take it to the castle. Is it okay if I leave it here with you, and you can look through it, and I can pick it up when we come back?
He looks down at it and says, "A moment." And he picks up, he looks over the shelves in his office, takes out a couple more books of a similar size, puts one on the desk, takes the Book of Medora, puts that on top of the first book, and then puts another book on top of that one, picks up the stack, and says, "Follow me, please." And he heads out of the office and opens the door. And the rest of you probably see Simeon open the door with 3 books and Hikan. And he says, "I'll be with you shortly. Just taking care of one last thing." And he leads Hikan into the library area.
All right. I would like to make a roll. I would like to know if Renji would have noticed Hikan closing the door, specifically like closing the door to speak privately.
Make a perception check versus Hikan's.
You notice.
You notice.
Yes.
So you
I
notice
guess
that the
we
door is
all
closed.
notice.
Yeah.
It kind of slams the door shut.
Yeah.
In that case, I would also have tried an eavesdrop.
Okay, make a perception check with disadvantage.
With disadvantage.
Yes.
Oh boy, oh boy. 20!
Nice. Hikan, roll a stealth check, and I will roll one for... So let's see. Simeon got a 21, and Hikan got a 20, and on contested rolls, Defender wins, so you are unaware of the conversation that took part.
I will say that since you do know Hikan, you know that he's hesitant and nervous about something.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah.
But thank you.
But Simeon leads Hikan through to the library, down a different corridor, and down flight of stairs into a basement area, and turns and you see a fairly small locker-like box made of this very, very finely polished metal. And he then puts the stack down, removes the Book of Medora from the middle of the stack, and he shows in full view of Hikan the combination to the safe, opens it, and you see it's empty, places the book inside, closes it, locks it, then turns and says, I believe it'll be safe here, and you are free to come down and collect it when you need to. Just make sure you tell me when you do, because I don't want to be assuming that it's still there and find that it is not one day.
I will. Thank you very much, Lord Simeon.
He bows his head lightly and says, now, I believe you have a rather unpleasant gentleman that you need to go speak to.
Right, Lord Asshole. And
Yes.
then I just turn around and start heading back downstairs.
Oh dear. But yeah, so you guys, eventually Hikan rejoins you and all of you, and eventually the cuckoo settles down in Larson's hand and says, right, are we ready?
I believe so. Hikan?
I'm ready. Thank you for waiting, guys.
Of course.
Okay. So Larson leads you through the Noble District and down right across the main street, and eventually, just as he seems about to arrive at Hryule's shop, he turns a corner down a street heading north, and eventually you are led to a building which looks frighteningly similar to Simeon's in its design and architecture, with the similar guards out front. But the general atmosphere of the street itself appears rather dour. Like, it's not like Simeon's street or the area outside Hryule's where everything seems brightly coloured and well painted and well maintained, and the people around there seem to just having a generally pleasant time walking down it. It seems empty here.
Also, on the walk there, I would have tried and polish up my breastplate and make sure that everything is neat and tidy and prestidigitated and stuff.
Yeah.
Max takes one look at you doing that, takes his hood down for probably the first time since he's met you guys, and just sort of flattens his hair down a bit and then puts it back up, and that's the full extent of what he does.
Ziden, what are they doing?
They are trying to appear in a better light physically.
What? No, I was just mocking him.
He's trying to appear in a better light physically.
I do appreciate you joining us in the land of the face uncovered people.
For like a second.
Oh, did Max put the hood back
Yeah.
on? Oh, I see. Right.
Like, as
Sorry.
soon as he was done sorting his hair out, he just put the hood back up.
Okay. I get it.
It's a pity. You don't look half bad, actually.
Hey. What?
There's a devil. There's kind of like a mischievous smirk on Tyria's face. It's like, oh, nothing, and then just walks.
Hikan leans
slightly
back
past
and
them.
just kind of looks between, Max and Renji, and is like, looks like you have some competition, and just keeps walking.
Renji has a bit of a blush on his cheeks, but then leans towards Max and says, rumor has it that Gerudo ladies find fates of Hylian descent.
There's a brief pause, and then Matt says, "What's a mate?"
Oh. You are joking, aren't you?
Completely stone-faced.
Okay, I do want to have, I want to
You
know.
don't need to make an insight check. He is being serious.
Oh, fuck. Oh, Max. Oh. Ziden,
Hmm?
you have. There are hiatuses in this boy's education.
Oh, excuse me. Whilst we were wandering through the wolf-infested woods, I forgot to mention a few things.
There are birds in the woods. There are bees in the woods.
There are also falcons that want to eat your eyes.
I'm
What
also
a bird.
28. Just want to point that out.
What do birds have to do with anything?
Ziden should have told you something about this.
Oh wait, you're talking about sex, right? Okay.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'm not interested. That was all
Okay.
tough.
No, Larson's just kind of
Okay.
having stopped outside of the estate building, just had like at this point, as at the tail end of the conversation, just are we heading in? I mean, it's a fascinating conversation that you guys are having. I don't disagree on that one, but it's just, best to get
Honestly,
this one over and done with.
yes. I don't know what is worse, this conversation or the following conversation.
The following.
Hopefully.
Probably. Okay. And he turns around, he speaks briefly to the guards, they nod, open the door for him. You head inside. The interior layout of the building is almost a mirror to Simeon's. And with the exception of a difference in decorations, it's a lot gaudier in here. But
Let me guess. Less books?
less books. Less books, more needless decorations and
More
intricate.
gold.
Yeah.
The tackiest of all the metals.
Yeah.
Quite loudly, or rather at normal speaking voice, so if people can hear him given acoustics. Hikan asks Larson, who had theirs built first, Mr. Rickshaw or Mr. Simeon?
Well, the buildings were put there around about the same time, I think. I think Simeon's father was the first one to become a lord, and then Simeon took over from that. So I guess his building came first, maybe?
Huh.
Hmm.
So Rickshaw copied it. Okay, got it.
Yeah. And then, as you're talking, a door opens, and out walks the rotund, unpleasant person that you have come to know, Lord Rickshaw. And he looks around, and he kind of does that thing where, like, he has that the upper lip twitch that makes it look like he's just shaking his mustache around, and looks at you and says, "Oh, it's you. And Mr. Larson Graves, welcome to my home. How might I be of assistance to you? Do you have the item that I have requested?"
We obtained you a pet from the store as requested.
Good. He looks around, clearly not looking at the cuckoo, and is like, "And where is it?"
It's right there. It's called evidence. At least that's what Mr. Larson called it.
He kind of like very slowly turns to look at Larson, and Larson just kind of lifts the cuckoo up slightly, and the cuckoo's just like, and he's like, "I believe I requested something exotic."
We determined you did not have the necessary facilities to house a lion.
Yeah, turns out the shop owner was a fucking wizard.
Language?
And
No.
Rickshaw says, "Are they telling the truth?" And Lance says, "Yeah, they're telling the truth. I was there. Probably wouldn't have noticed the Lionel if I wasn't there, actually." And he goes, So
And
this...
like we were asking him about pets, and then weird stuff started happening because, well, Mr. Larson said that there was an investigation, and so we looked around for stuff. And after he made his suits of armor attack us from looking around, we found some interesting things. But unfortunately, we couldn't get you a pet other than
I mean-
Effie.
We would be happy to explain
It's either
and
that,
debrief.
or, yeah, it's either that, exceptionally venomous rope, giant scorpion,
Slightly
Lionel.
smaller venomous rope.
yeah. You don't want to be bitten and killed by your own pet, right?
And he looks
Because
at
if
the
you do, we could go back and get one.
He looks at the cuckoo rather derisively, and then Larson says, "Unfortunately, considering the nature of this case, I was there to investigate something that would pertain to the death of Marcus Whitestone. Technically, this cuckoo is evidence." And he says, "Oh, right." And he says, "So I'm afraid I will have to retain the pet for now. And I will need to come and get some statements from you at some point in regards to how you came to know about this illicit purveyor of pets that was a wizrobe." And Rickshaw says, Rickshaw kind of just sharply inhales, turns around, kind of contemplates something as he stares at the wall. There's a light tapping of his foot.
Can we insight check this?
Sure.
Okay then.
23.
Okay, so we have a 23. What else do we have? 21.
21.
11 and a 13.
And 13.
It's not that hard to tell that he's pissed.
Can
I
we
am
tell
trying
he's
to
pissed
conceal
because
a
we
smile.
specifically because we figured out the whole it's a wizrobe thing, and he knew something about that in advance, or
It's
just
hard.
because we didn't get it?
That bit is hard to tell, but it seems like based on the context of everything, it's more the case of like chances with your 23. You can probably assume that his inner monologue is these idiots went and got me a cuckoo when I asked for something exotic, and now I'm part of a criminal investigation. Hurrah!
I mean, if he didn't want that, he shouldn't have asked us to do it.
So he turns around and says, "Fine, you may have the cuckoo. Keep it for all I care. I don't need a cuckoo." And thus like, "Okay, I'll be around later." And he, as he turns to leave, Rickshaw turns to the rest of you and says, "As for you, by technicality, you would have completed your task in providing me with a pet. But not only is it not exotic as I have asked for, but also it is not in my possession. It is in police custody. So I will not be rewarding you right now. I may reconsider."
Can we at least get hazard pay? I mean, we got our asses kicked by that wizrobe.
Hazard pay is not included.
That's rude.
That is something that wet blanket Simeon usually gives out. I do not wish to waste my money on such things. You signed up for this task. You got what you deserve. Now, if you would be so
Technically,
kind...
you signed us up for this task.
True, but you signed up to accept tasks under my purview. Regardless...
I bow my head to Lord Rickshaw. I understand perfectly, Lord. Lord, it is just as well. We wouldn't have had such an an experience without your request. If it wasn't for you, we would have never had gained the respect of a Lionel, and that is something that I will treasure forever. Thank you for this opportunity.
And that will have to do. Good day. Get off my property, and I shall probably send you another missive in the future if you are willing to shape up your
Before
act
he
a
even
bit.
finishes his sentence, Max isn't wasting no time in getting off his property.
You're hippity-hoppity getting off his property?
Less of the hippity-hoppity-ing, but yeah.
That's Ziden's job.
No, Ziden's bear, remember?
He can be a frog if he wants.
I guess.
Or a giant toad.
Yeah.
A dire rabbit.
Dire rabbit.
So as you guys kind of funnel out and the door closes behind you, Larson turns around with the cuckoo under one arm and says, "Okay, I'll see if I can work out some form of compensation. You did help in dealing with part of an investigation, so it's only fair."
Honestly, Larson, thank you. I don't think we would have been able to rub it in his face that, even if it's not real, telling him that we know Lionel is enough to at least not have him, take it too hard on us.
Well, yeah. I mean, by technicality, from what I understand of your employment, you are partially owned. That's a terrible way of phrasing it. You're partially employed by Lord Rickshaw, but also partially employed by Lord Simeon. I don't think he can fire you without Simeon's go-ahead.
Oh, definitely not.
What's firing?
So that we then stop being employed if we are fired.
Can we just be fired by Rickshaw and not by Simeon? Is that a thing that can happen?
I don't think that is possible in the current agreement.
As far as you know from the agreement, the idea is that Simeon needed, because Lord Rickshaw is the Lord of Labor, Simeon needed Rickshaw's approval to employ you as part of his own tasks, and Rickshaw's condition was, okay, though you get to have them as your archaeological team, but you also have to do odd jobs that I approve to make sure it's worthwhile for, in massive quotation marks, the people of Hyrule.
And that's why he sent us on a pet search.
By that standard, while you can't be employed under Lord Simeon without Rickshaw's go-ahead, you also can't be fired by Rickshaw under Simeon's go-ahead. They act as a kind of a check and balance with each other.
That does mean that if we don't feel like it, we don't have to actually put any effort into Rickshaw's requests.
True, but there will be...
Did we put any effort into this one? We showed up with a cuckoo!
This was the best result that was possible.
It was the only result that was possible.
I mean, the other case scenario was I could have faked being a pet and just run away immediately.
Yeah, but then you'd have to live in Lord Rickshaw's estate for X amount of hours/days, and that would be hell enough. But
and you'd have to probably, I guess, be
turn him into a peacock.
Ogled at by his children.
For like 2 hours, and then I run away. Probably use passive out trace.
We could have made you a peacock, and then when we handed him over, you could have just started flapping your wings really big and just flew out a window.
No, you have to get the money first.
Also,
Oh,
a pile of excrement should be involved.
does it really have to be
Don't do
involved?
that on command.
Could we not?
I'm still thinking that Larson is here listening to this.
Oh yeah, he is. He kind of just eventually says, "Okay, well, I've got to get paperwork done. I guess I'll be seeing you guys in the future. Bye." And just heads off.
Bye bye, Mr. Graves.
It was good to see you, Larson.
Yeah, so now you are in the noble district, left to your own devices as Larson heads towards the collection of temples, and as he needs to sort out more paperwork. The poor guy.
So, Hyrule Castle then?
I kind of don't want to hold on to the snout in this ear longer than I have to, because they start to smell after a while. I mean, they kind of smell now, because it was a Hinox taking a mud bath.
Probably deal with that first.
Probably.
Would you want to see if Hryule will take him?
I mean...
He's right here.
Hinox parts, I'm sure he can have some. He has some use of them.
Okay, and I lead the way to Uriel's.
Okay. So you head over. It's a very short distance. You get there within 5 minutes. You find the familiar door. Heading inside, you see the lock boxes that line the walls and the black and gold colorations everywhere. And behind the desk at the end of the room, you see the ever jolly smile of Uriel. It says, "Howdy, and welcome back to Uriel's Magical Magnificent Imaginations. How might I be of assistance to y'all?"
Hello, Uriel.
We killed another monster, and I have more parts.
Why don't you
And
just
I-
live the most exciting lives? Let me have a look.
I pull out the giant nose and the giant ear.
They say, "Oh my! You done gone did it at Hinox, did you?"
Yeah, I blame those two, and I point to Renji and Sho.
Renji is not inside of the building.
Sho,
I don't think Sho is either.
Yeah, Sho has been quietly following you guys around because I can't do enigmatic Sho. We need the Steve here.
At some point, we're going to have to be quite conservative. He hasn't spoken in, like, days.
Yeah, he's contemplating things. He's only recently taken a level in monk. He has to. It's a new thing he has to focus on.
I use prestidigitation to use some sort of ventriloquism. And I says, "You darn kids, get off my lawn."
I just imagine it being like a somewhat a mediocre to terrible impression of Sho. Like somewhere between meh and Batman, but yeah.
But like one of those really, really like intentionally bad impersonations.
Yeah. Oh man. But yeah. So you present Uriel with the Hinox parts, and he has a look over them and says,
I'm keeping the horn.
"Okay." Says, "Well, let's see here. Well, I can see if I can whip up something similar to the gauntlets your lady friend here has." And Tyrina looks at her silver gauntlets and says, "Oh?" And says, "Yeah, I won't be able to give you enough strength to hurl boulders and other massive weights, but it'll still be enough to give you a bit of an oomph with your attacks. Something akin to like gauntlets of Hinox power or something along those lines."
Sounds interesting.
So what you're saying is she'll like have the strength of a giant type thing?
Well, she's probably with those gauntlets on. She's probably as strong as that already. It's just that this would be able to mimic that aspect of it, but not with the sense of like suplexing boulders and stuff. Wouldn't be able to do that. That's a different kind of magical object moving effect that might need other parts to replicate.
Didn't you want gauntlets of strength too, Ziden?
I thought it would be interesting to be a super strong spider.
I mean, if you want to make them, that's okay. I just know that if I held on to them, they'd start to smell. I mean, they kind of smell already.
Well, if you want, I can buy them off you for half the value, but then keep them reserved, so if you want to use them as materials for a construction later on, then you
How
can.
much would the gauntlets cost?
Well, the gauntlets themselves would cost you, normally they'd cost you around about 650 gold, but with the parts there, I'd be able to give them to you for 575. Alternatively, if you wanted to give me, well, that depends actually. If you wanted me to hold on to the parts, and then later, if you decide against making yourselves some gauntlets of Hinox power, then you can say, "Nah, it's fine. You keep holding them, and then I can give you the other half of the payment." However, if you want me to make the gauntlets now, and say come back for them tomorrow. Or it might take me a bit longer than that. If you want to come back in a couple days, I might be able to sell them to you for sell the gauntlets to you for 550. So it's more of a case of you're having to pay more for the gauntlets for the luxury of not having to get the gauntlets if you don't want to.
What was the strength that they would put things to?
19.
I think that's stronger than pretty much any of the animals, and...
It's the same strength as a bear.
Okay. But it's still a hilarious idea of being a super strong cat. So I will say, make it 500 and I'll pay you now.
Make a persuasion check.
+1, go! A whole 10!
Hryule says, I'm afraid I won't be able to go that low. 550 is probably the lowest I can go with this one, I'm afraid.
Do you need the 50 gold?
No. I just like even numbers.
50's an even number. It ends in a 0.
Not quite what I mean.
Oh.
Oh. Ziden will hold out a hand to shake Hryule's.
Okay. Hryule shakes your hand. There's...
And I will start to take out the monies.
Okay.
Oh dear, that's not how maths works.
Okay. So, as you're taking it out, he says, weren't you in here before looking for a pair of shoes?
I forgot about those.
Okay. Well, they're still here if you ever want them.
How much were they?
Let me have a look. I think they're probably going to be about the same price. I think 600 is usually the basic rate for boots of Sheikah kind. Yeah, 600.
I'll see if I get more money. I prefer the idea of the gloves.
Very well.
Thank you very much,
Now,
Hryule.
before you do, actually no, I'll look into it. Because usually with wild shape, it's like the animals thing replaces the physical attribute of the thing, but I don't know whether or not the gauntlets interact with each other. So I'll have a look, and I'll let you know. And
I suppose even if they
Well,
didn't, that's good.
if they don't, if it doesn't work like that, you could give it to like Renji or me, and we can have super strong casters, and it'd be hilarious.
I mean, my strength is 10 at the moment, so putting it to 19 is funny.
Yeah,
And that.
that's true.
Honestly, I don't really see the use of it for myself.
Because you're
I just
a
thought it'd be
dex
fun.
fighter.
I thought it'd be funny if he was super strong.
I mean, given I'm the other guy doing athletics checks, I could always use them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
we've got options if it doesn't
yeah.
work out. For
I'll
the
look
transmission.
into it. I'll look into it between sessions, and then if depending on the answer, I'll say so, and I'll give you the option to retcon the purchase of the gloves if you really, really wanna. But from the sounds of it, it seems like you're kind of set anyway. So,
It's something to do with the monies that builds up.
yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. So after you finally count away your money, he gladly takes it. Takes Hinox pass. Says, "Well, I'll send. As I said, it might take a couple days. I'll send a missive to Lord Simeon's when I'm done."
Do you have any extra chew jelly?
Extra chew jelly. Let me have a look. And he, instead of going to one of the lockboxes, he ducks down behind his desk and pulls out a couple of mismatched bottles and jars and looks at them and says, "Did you need alchemical or elemental?"
Rolling an intelligence check?
Sure.
Alchemical, please.
Okay. So he provides you with a couple of jars, fairly large jars, of this green viscous material. And he says, those two together, that'd be about 5 gold.
Okay, I will take both of them. Thank you.
Okay. He gladly takes the gold, puts the other materials back under the desk. Says, well then, is there anything else I can do for any of y'all before you disappear?
There is a different magic item which would be useful to know if he has.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if it's a proper one or not. I put it in the Discord.
Okay. Insignia of Claws. I'll have to look into that because that looks like it comes from a module, as opposed to the Dungeon Master's Guide. That requires me to get another book from my shelf, and that takes a while. So we'll leave that be for now. And
Can I talk to Hryule in private for a bit, guys?
Of course. And I will step outside.
I'll step outside as well.
as will Tyrina and likely Sho.
I need something to focus my magic better. I think that not having that is bad for me.
Well, that seems like a very valid and important request, so I wouldn't say no. Let me have a look here. How do you typically focus your magic? Is it through a staff, a wand, a crystal ball?
He just jerks a thumb towards the staff that's tied to his back. It's clearly got draconic markings on it.
Okay. And not looking for any kind of change in that one, or is it something you're comfortable with right now?
It doesn't matter what it is, so long as it works.
Very well. Let's see. He kind of begins looking over his lockboxes. He says, well, if you have about 550 gold to spare, I can provide you with a magical staff. Gives you a bit of a boost in regards to your focusing. Metagame wise, he would be willing to provide you with a +1 staff.
If it works, it works. Sure, okay.
Okay. And he opens a lockbox and finds for you a pearlescent white staff, seemingly made from ash wood, with these kind of intertwining sort of patterns in the end as they before they come to a point. So it looks from a distance like a spear, but at this point, up close, it's definitely a staff. And he presents you and says, "Give that a feel, give it a way, see how it goes for you."
He's just gonna hold it for a bit and then cast prestidigitation through it.
Oh, yeah. Seems to work wonderfully. You can see like the energy of the magic follow up the staff and do a kind of spiral pattern before it leaves the end. It's rather lovely.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay.
Hands over the 550.
Okay, so he takes the gold, puts it away, and says, And he looks you up and down briefly and says, you ain't like that Sho Daius fella outside, are you? You're a sorcerer type person.
I don't know the terminology.
Okay. Yeah, I would have been willing to teach you a spell I knew, but sadly I can only teach it to wizards because they're academia and whatnot. So
yeah, I just sort of know magic.
Okay.
I don't.
Well,
I think the uncomfortable face.
That's fine. If you do find any wizard friends who would be looking for a new offensive spell, then I can always provide them with one. And if you know anybody, of course, who wants any kind of magical items or gear, just point them towards Uriel's magnificent magical machinations, and I'll be able to provide them with a great service and great items.
Okay. Thanks.
Not a problem. Have a good day.
That's just a +1 to hit, right?
Yeah, +1 to spell attacks, not saves.
Okay. And not to damage as well.
Not to damage either. Well, actually, damage if it's a spell attack, but not a saving throw. It will be a bit janky, but
I can work that out as I go along with.
Yeah.
So carry on with things, people.
Okay. So eventually, Max leaves Uriel's and rejoins you outside. Turian's like, well, what now?
Castle to hand in the apples.
Okay. Right. If that's the case, if you guys don't mind, I think I'm gonna head back to Lord Simeon's.
You don't want to check out the castle?
I'm not sure if I'm allowed.
You're definitely allowed.
Yeah, but I mean, you guys are Sheikah and Hylian. I'm Gerudo. I mean, sure.
I understand, and you'll be with me.
Yeah, but...
I'm dressed like a bin.
And you'll be with me.
Okay.
Is the castle full of assholes like Rickshaw?
No, it's
God,
just...
I hope so.
There are some.
It's just that some other Gerudo have got a reputation, as it were, or it's like it's a reputation of being thieves, but it's not entirely unjustified. But we do have a reason. But it's just, you know what? Forget it. I'm just worrying too much. Let's go.
Serena, you'll be fine.
Well, I'll trust you on that one.
Just for the sake of this, Renji will make sure that he walks in front.
Okay.
As we go to the castle.
Okay. So you make your way through the streets and towards the outer walls of the castle grounds, and you see the guards dressed resplendently, much more so than the other guards in town, and they stand to attention. And as you approach, says, "Hold! Do you have your papers?"
I hold up my signet ring.
Okay, and what about them?
They do not specifically have papers, but I wish to show them my living quarters.
Oh, I was going to pull out the crumpled note about Mara's request.
Yes.
Also, we got a mission to do.
Also, Hikan, could show it, please.
Oh, okay. I pass him the note or the request.
Hey, you pass him the request. He looks at it and says, Usually we have runners go up to see the king and the castle and everything. So if you'd be willing to wait here for a couple minutes, we'll go and check in with the interior guard and see if the protocol is all right.
Max glances at Renji's signet ring and then holds up the one he was given by Joe and is like, "Does this also count?"
Looks at the signet ring. There's it's not a symbol that I recognise, I'm afraid.
Alright. I mean, just
That's
just
fine.
checking.
That's all right. Shouldn't be too long. And sure enough, 10 minutes later, as you kind of wait around and the sky changes from blue to orange as the evening begins to set in, a runner comes forth and talks to the guard and says, "Right, well, at the request of Lord Nihilus, you are granted permission this one time. However, you may well need special invitations to come in for future visits, and be sure to be escorted by a member of the castle staff and or family." And he taps it, like jams his spear into the floor twice, clang clang, and the portcullis begins to rise, and you are granted entrance to the castle.
And as we walk in, I say, "Okay, I didn't expect the wait, but I told you I'd get you in."
Yeah, I guess. I was kind of expecting a bigger castle.
Yeah.
Looking at the
Bigger
small one
castle.
in the space. It's like I figured to take up more space. Just right.
There is a substantial amount of field between the walls of the grounds and the castle itself.
Max,
and-
maybe it's like Mr. Flamgoat.
Max's eye just twitches.
It isn't. Don't worry. It isn't specifically bigger on the inside or anything.
Yeah. So as you head in and move up the path towards the castle, and you see like the very, very well maintained gardens and the beautiful landscape that's kind of on this area, and the path itself seems to rise up a hill, up at the top of which is Hyrule Castle itself. This which it does look small from where you are standing, but then as you get closer, it just grows to immensity. You find that the castle itself appears like when you get there, it's just this huge palatial. Well, it's this huge building of beautiful architecture, of white stone and blue sort of what's the word? Shingles, I suppose, is the best term that I can use for the spires, and all the guards are dressed in this elaborate sort of purple and gold attire over their standard armor, and they all stand to attention and seem stoic and ever watchful compared to the rather almost casual way by comparison that the normal town guard seem to adopt. As you kind of head in, you see the immense hallways, and it's just very, very well maintained in its design. Where are you headed with the gang, Renji?
First, I would like to show them the library because, well,
Alright.
might as well
Okay.
finish up the task quickly. But as we walk towards the castle, I do turn, and as we walk, I hold out my hands and I say, "Welcome to my home."
Master looks over and says, "Ah, it's just far away, right?"
Ziden will nod and say, "It is very nice."
And we'll head to the library where Mara Fletcher is.
Yes. So you head to the library. So you make your way to the library. She is making her way down the halls. As you turn a corner, I'd like everybody to roll a dexterity save with advantage.
Okay. Dexterity saving throw. Boy.
13.
22.
16.
Oh, with advantage? 18. Huh.
Okay. Let's see. I will be with you in just a moment.
Oh no, what's going on?
Robert
We're going around a corner and someone's going to run into us.
Don't put the advantage tick on the when you're rolling 2, because it rolls 2 for each one.
So you rolled a 22 in.
No, the 22 was the first dice anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's fine. Let's
Double
see.
advantage.
So yeah, just don't put the advantage on when that's.
Okay.
Yay, learning.
No, no.
Excellent. But yeah, so you turn a corner, and all of you see just in time two figures walking down the corridor. One of them is a tall, robed individual in these dark robes with the Sheikah symbol emblazoned on his chest with a staff, and he has this kind of long, wispy Fu Manchu style mustache and this long hair, and he's very tall and slender. And the other person walking with him is an elderly man with a long, grey, bushy beard, a weighty crown upon his head, and just resplendent golden robes. And before you, Renji, you noticed immediately. You recognize these individuals immediately. The others there, Sho would recognize them immediately. The others takes a moment. But
he's wearing a crown.
He's wearing a crown. You may not know who.
I think even Max can tell.
You may not know who the Sheikah is, but you definitely know the other man is Alexander Gregory Hyrule, the king of Hyrule itself. They seem to be heading down the corridor in the opposite direction as you are.
I immediately kneel down and could you I know the guy's the Sheikah's name.
You know the Sheikah, that's Zelish.
Oh yes.
Yeah, Zelish is a Grandmaster of the Sheikah, but is also the bodyguard to the king.
I understand, and I go to one knee. I immediately say, "My Lord King," and also Zelish Daidior, and I keep my eyes to the floor.
Sho follows suit, and Tyrina, I will have her make a judgment call. She rolls fairly high on her judgment call, sees you two doing it, and then just kind of does a kind of very sort of botched bow. Says, she's not used to being in the presence of royalty.
Max follows Tyrina.
Ziden will do a polite waist bow.
Hikan stares at Zelish's staff, appraising it for a bit too long, and then realizes, oh shit, I'm in big things right now, and then just does a full 90-degree bow.
Oh dear. But yeah, so the two of them stop upon seeing you. Zelish takes a step forward, and he looks over you and says, Master Vox, Master Daius, company.
Grandmaster Zelish.
Do I recognize the name?
I'd say it depends how, in your growing up, how in touch with the rest of Sheikah society were you? Was the monastery fairly secluded, or?
I think it was, I grew up in Kakariko until I was 12, and then I ended up moving to the monastery after that because reasons.
So you would know who Zelish Meyer is, because he is much the same age as Ziden. He is 200, if not more so, and has been Grandmaster for quite a while. So you would know the name Zelish Meyer as being the generally accepted leader of the Sheikah.
Now Hikan's like, oh shit, I fucked up. I looked at his staff too long. I fucked up.
Max is just going to make a judgment call and only speak when spoken to.
And he looks down and says, Zelish kind of looks over with a quirked brow, and then there's a brief... Are you going to let them, force them to kneel or bow for this long? I'll let them stand, Zelish. And, Zelish goes, right, sorry, just, taken aback. You may stand if you wish to.
I nod and stand up.
I slowly raise, looking nervous as hell.
Well, mind if I ask exactly where you are going in such a hurry with such interesting company?
Of course. We were planning on going to the library. Miss Fletcher had asked us through Lord Simeon to for a request, and we have finished that, and we were just heading to bring her the requested apples that she requested.
I see. And the king just nods rather sagely. Says, well, it's good to know that there are individuals out It's good to know that there are individuals out there who are willing to be so helpful to the crown, as it were. And she says, yes. Now, as much as I'm sure my liege would like to stay and chat with you all, he is not feeling particularly well today and needs his rest. Isn't that right, Alexander? And says, oh yes, of course. As you
Are
were.
they lying?
Hmm?
Are they lying?
Make an insight check.
7.
7. Well, the king did splutter a cough, so...
Go turn that back on.
I'm just imagining the other conversation when we were looking at people sick, blim flu.
Yeah,
So
clearly.
it says,
Same symptoms. Definitely.
so it says, very well. As you were. Make sure not to keep the poor girl up too late. She does need to be well enough to continue her work.
Of course, I do not wish to burden her.
And the two of them begin to move down the corridor. Okay, Zelish offers a hand to help the king moving along.
It's just having the thought of how many very, very old Sheikah actually are there?
You probably would be the only ones. Maybe there are a couple more, but as far as you can tell, there aren't many.
Okay.
Yeah.
There might be one or two of the elders in Kakariko.
Yeah. There are a couple of Sheikah who while not in charge are so old they are infirm, so there are people in Kakariko who take care of them, but Sheikah are generally long lived. Though exactly the cap on their age is unknown as it stands.
So I was like, maybe he was born around the same time I was.
But yeah, so you continue on. You continue through the corridors, and you manage to find the library, and you manage to find Mara behind the desk. For those of you who haven't seen Mara yet, she is a average height, long-eared Hylian girl. She has this kind of wavy blonde hair, which is tied at the back into a ponytail. In fact, what I will do is I will... let's see, I have a picture of her, actually. So I shall use this for now.
Okay.
Show to everyone. There we go. So people on the stream can see what she looks like. But yeah, essentially, as she's sorting through these piles of books which are beside the desk, she looks over and sees you, Renji there. Oh, hello. And then sees Renji. Did you bring guests?
Good afternoon.
I wasn't aware we were allowed to bring guests.
In fact, these are my friends and my colleagues. They helped. We, as a group, procured your apples, Miss Fletcher.
Oh, how lovely! Thank you very much.
And with that, I start taking out like 6 apples and start placing them on the counter of the library entrance.
I was only expecting one. Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, I can make a lot of medicine out of this. Thank you.
I'm glad it's medicine. It does not make good ale.
we tried one. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, they aren't exactly tasty, but the fungal properties of the apple actually make good medicine. So that's what I'll be working on. Thank you, though. That's really, really helpful. Give me a second. I think I have something set aside that I can reward you with. And and she disappears briefly around a corner and comes back a few moments later with a sizable sack of what sounds like money as it jingles along. She places it on the desk and says, I think this should be enough. I am sorry if I've miscalculated. I've never really hired anybody to do anything for me before.
Well, if you are in need, then we are there to help.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Of course.
You're much nicer to us than Rickshaw is.
Oh,
Yes, don't tell him.
Well, I'm glad I've passed that bar. Great. Thank you.
Like much nicer.
Well, I'm glad I could be. I mean, I try to be. It's only fair.
Hmm.
You are. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Well, I've gotta get back to sorting things. If you need anything while you're here, let me know. I'll do my best. But for now, I've still gotta sort this place out. It's a bit of a mess.
I can't remember. Did Ziden ask Simeon, or did he ask Mara herself about fossils?
It was Simeon. This is the first time you've met Mara.
I thought she came down when we originally had the
No.
request.
No.
She sent a letter.
She sent a letter. She offered to come down and speak to you if you needed to speak to her, because she, at least at the time, was under the impression that security at the castle meant no outsiders. So she'd have to leave to speak to you.
Speak to? We spoke to someone regarding the details of the apple.
I know we rolled really well on
I
identifying
believe that
it.
not all of us went to do that.
Yeah. It might have just been that you rolled really well, yeah. But we'd have to listen back to the episode. Episode, oh god, what was it? It's not 15, it was 14. Episode 14. Go listen to episode 14 if you haven't done so already. Plugging. Anyway,
Hey.
but
They're here, they already have.
is there anything else you would like to do before we wrap up the session?
No.
I think I'll leave any plans up to next episode.
Okay.
Are we going to basically say we're having a long rest and starting fresh in the morning next time?
If you wish to, unless there is something during the night that anybody needs to do.
I was going to attempt to use my newly acquired chew jelly and my Hynex horn and do stuff with my brewer's kit and arm wrestle Tyrina.
In that order.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Or do something while waiting for the brew to finish.
Yeah.
Ziden will do his usual of turning spell slots into food for the needy.
Okay. All right.
You probably can't leave the castle and come back, though.
Yeah. So you'd have to leave, go to the slums, feed people, then sleep at Simeon's.
That depends on how committed Renji is to making them sleep in the castle. And
I would really like them to sleep in the castle.
Also, if what you
Goodberry does last 24 hours, to be fair.
That's true. You could just go.
However, I should say, having talked with Mara and the castle guards this way, the need for Renji to have people in the castle is diminished.
You just wanted to show everybody. You just wanted to show everybody your swanky digs and the pretty girl that runs the library, didn't you? That was the entire purpose of this.
If I say yes, would you believe me?
No.
But I suppose what we can do is we can catch up on that at the end of towards the start of the next session. So by all means, I think what we'll do is we'll call it here for today. Thank you guys very much for listening. This one went on for a little bit longer than I was expecting today, and hopefully we'll be able to locate our moody samurai boy for the next episode. But in the meantime,
get the net.
Yeah. In the meantime, I have been ArticulateT, and with me, I have been the GM, and with me today, I have had Alvarance playing Hikan.
Bye-bye.
I have had TheNetherlad playing Renji Vox.
Sleep well.
I've had RoboPirate playing Ziden Shari.
Bye bye.
And I have had
the net on fire.
and I have had Keastreth playing Max.
Bye.
And we'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye bye now.